What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the JuiceBox presented by Lock City. It's Wighty here today. Hope everyone's having a great week and a great weekend, especially, and that you've all been cashing out in our premium tier. We had another big day yesterday, which we'll get into in a second. Today, we have episode number 77 of the JuiceBox, which is going to be an outlook into today's MLB slate, as well as a quick review of yesterday's slate, plus, of course, our JuiceBox Lock for today. But before we get into that, just a reminder, of course, you can join our premium tier Discord at whop.com/lockcity. That's WHOP.com/lockcity for only $5 a month. This gets you access to every cheat sheet every day across all active major sports, access to premium picks from all 9 of our pro cappers, and tons of sports-specific and stat-specific data points on a daily basis to help you become a better sports bettor. Like I said, we've been hot in the Discord. Yesterday, Bobby smacked a couple of nasty Alexandra Lacazette, I think is the pronunciation. Not a huge League One follower, but goal scorer plays. And that was a 5-unit banger for him to score, which paid out $1,000, paid out $1,000. He had Lacazette to score 2 or more goals, as well as him to be the first goal scorer. So that brought home another $500 combined. Like I said, I'm not a huge soccer follower myself, but I know when Bobby and Lenny post in the Discord, I am absolutely all over it. They've been taking care of me for the last 2 years when it comes to soccer, football, sorry, for you non-casual fans. But they take care of business in there every day. They got plays going left, right, and center, and they've been cashing me out, like I've said, for the last 2 years. There are tons of fans in our Discord that can attest to that. So our max play of the day also is now 11-6. It's up $1,241 after cashing out yesterday on the Nationals as a plus 135 underdog, and even triggering the Bet365 up 5 early payout in the first inning to secure the bag for us there. They went on to win the game 10-6. I also had a MLB first 5 inning parlay in my channel that cashed for $545, and that helped put us up $650 on the day in my channel. We're up $525 on the week there and $3,757 on the month, or 37.57 units. We also, in the premium tier, swept both of our WNBA cheat sheets yesterday. We went a combined 8-0 across both the player props and the game lines. We went a perfect 4-0 on UFC Call the Card, going perfect across the main card, aside from obviously the canceled fight where Rodolfo Bellato pulled out for fucking herpes, apparently. But anyway, we do daily picks, we do daily projections for all major sports, and of course, we have our Lock City cheat sheets that we're running daily for a ton of different sports and prop markets. You can get better results paying only 16 cents a day. That's whop.com/lockcity. So a quick review of yesterday's slate. We saw the Mets take down the Yankees 3-2 at Yankee Stadium. We saw the Cubs take down the White Sox 7-3 at Wrigley Field. We saw the Blue Jays take down my Tigers 2-1 up at Rogers Center in Toronto. The Nationals, like I said, was our max play of the day. They beat the Orioles 10-6 at Camden Yards. The Rays took down the Marlins 4-0 at Lone Depot Park in Miami. The Phillies at home beat the Pirates 5-2 at Citizens Bank Park. The Reds took down the Guardians 4-1 at home in Cincinnati at Great American. The Rangers at home at Globe Life took down the Astros 5-1. The St. Louis Cardinals beat the KC Royals 1-0 in KC at Kauffman Stadium. The Boston Red Sox at home won a close one 7-6 over the Atlanta Braves. The Minnesota Twins continued their winning streak on the road. They won 7-0 over the Milwaukee Brewers at American Family Field, and I think they're still 4th place in the AL Central. Maybe they've squeezed up to 3rd. We can check that in a bit, despite their winning streak, which is insane. The Colorado Rockies stole one from the Arizona Diamondbacks. I saw that the Diamondbacks were something like minus 395 on the money line. A lot of those games I'd be interested in going back and tracking, but a lot of those games when they're super heavily favored like that, it's almost always worth betting the plus 1.5 run line on the other side. They always seem to, those teams get pissed off when they're that deep of an underdog and they play with the chip on their shoulder, and we saw that again last night. The Rockies ended up beating the Diamondbacks 14-12 at Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona. The Seattle Mariners beat the Padres on the road at Petco Park 4-1. The San Francisco Giants unfortunately took down our Athletics, no longer Oakland, Sacramento Athletics. They took down the Athletics. The Athletics were our JuiceBox Lock yesterday. That was a very, very close one. We needed extra innings there. It was 0-0 going into extras, and the Giants ended up winning 1-0, unfortunately, in the 10th inning. And lastly, the Angels beat the Dodgers. The Angels were on the road there. That's at Dodger Stadium, obviously, in rivalry weekend here. The Angels won 11-9. So looking forward at today's slate, we have another 15 games today that we'll hop into. The first set of games kick off around 1 o'clock Eastern time. First one being Houston and Texas, of course, at Globe Life Field. So the Texas Rangers have Jack Leiter out at the mound, right-handed pitcher. The Houston Astros are throwing Framber Valdez, lefty. So significant matchup history. The Rangers, we have Marcus Semien hits well off of Valdez, Kevin Pillar, Jonah Heim. Corey Seager doesn't hit bad off of him. He actually takes care of business against a couple of these guys, though. Adolis Garcia, Ezekiel Duran, Jake Berger. A couple of these guys have been struggling against him. Wyatt Langford even. So this one, I might lean Houston here. I do like Jack Leiter as a pitcher, but I would probably lean Houston on the money line here. It's not one I'm going to be all over, but Houston on the money line if we're given leans. Next one up is going to be the Nats and the Orioles. It's been hard to back the Orioles right now. They've been having a little bit of a tough time. They do have Zach Eflin on the mound today. I've been a little bit of a fan of Eflin. I liked what he did down at the Rays. He's been kind of hit and miss, but overall, I do kind of like the guy. So, and we got Soroka going out for the Nats. Not a lot of matchup history going on here. The only noteworthy one really is Eflin against Ahmed Rosario. He's got 18 appearances, bats .389. But aside from that, not a lot of significant history here. I would honestly probably look toward the over in this game. Both of these pitchers have an ERA of 3 or higher. Eflin's is obviously better than Soroka's. Soroka's up at 6.43 ERA. I would probably lean the over 9.5 in this game. I think the Orioles are going to be pissed they lost that yesterday. Yesterday's game went over. I think today's game goes over as well. I think over 9.5 at plus 100 is probably a good line for this one. Pittsburgh Pirates, Philadelphia Phillies at Citizen Bank Park, 1:35 p.m. Eastern Time. We have Mick Abel pitching for the Phillies, apparently, or at least starting. Looks like a bullpen game. And Skeens Day for the Pirates. Interesting. I would probably go Pirates first 5 here. Skeens doesn't give up a whole lot of runs. He doesn't have a ton of matchup history here. Obviously, like a couple of matchups potentially in his rookie season last year, but I don't see anything here actually against the Phillies. Interesting. I'd probably go Pittsburgh first 5, I think, on this one. I think a bullpen game leaves a lot to be desired. I don't like Pittsburgh's hitting at all. Like, this could potentially be 0-0 after 5 and just result in the void, or 1-1 after 5 and result in the void. I don't see Pittsburgh generating a whole lot of runs, even though it's a bullpen game, but I would lean Pittsburgh first 5 here. Atlanta Braves and Boston Red Sox. I think here we got Brian Bello going for the Red Sox, righty, and Spencer Schwellenbach going for the Braves, also a righty. This will be an interesting one. I think this will be a little bit of a lower scoring affair. I kind of like the under 9 at even money. Let's see here. Matchup history in terms of streaking batters: Nick Allen for the Braves, Matt Olson for the Braves. Marcell Ozuna homered yesterday. There has been a lot of hit generation on both sides, but for whatever reason, I'm prone to lean toward the under, just given the pitching matchup, or maybe a first 5 under, like a first 5 under 4.5 or something like that for this one. Aside from that, not a lot to be desired. The Detroit Tigers and Toronto Blue Jays. This is where we're going to find our JuiceBox Lock of the day. I'll repeat it at the end of the pod, but might as well go through it here. We're going to be taking the Detroit Tigers on the money line here. They lost a close one yesterday. They got Jackson Jobe on the mound today. Jackson Jobe's 3-0. He does have an ERA of 4.32, but he's going up against Jose Berrios on the mound for the Blue Jays. Jose Berrios, not that great. His history against the Tigers: Carpenter, mind you, these are not in a ton of plate appearances, but Carpenter bats .667, Torque bats .333, Akil Baddoo bats .286, Gleyber Torres .258. And then some of the guys that haven't batted well off of him all have very, very minor history. Aside from Javier Baez, was 1 for 10. But Javier Baez, obviously, coming into this year, had a couple of rough years, and he's absolutely been lighting it up this year. So I would expect Javier to probably get a hit in this game. But aside from that, I really like the Tigers in this one. They're going to take care of business. They don't often lose 2 games in a row. They're not going to drop 2 games in a row to Toronto, not on rivalry weekend, not going to go up and lose a series here. I really like the Tigers on the money line. It's plus 100, even money. So definitely going to be our JuiceBox Lock here. And again, we'll repeat it at the end of the pod. Cleveland Guardians and Cincinnati Reds at Great American. It's going to be 1:40 p.m. Eastern. We have Andrew Abbott going up for the Reds. And the Guardians, looks like Luis Ortiz, potentially. I would go Cincinnati here. I mean, the Guardians have looked good. Cincinnati struggles sometimes with generating runs. Ellie De La Cruz has been striking out a lot, but I like the top of their order a little bit better than I like the top of Cleveland's order. Regardless, I think Cincinnati's going to get this done with Abbott on the mound. And money line there is minus 125. Yeah, I like that. Tampa Bay and Miami down at Lone Depot, 1:40 p.m. Miami starting Cal Quantrill, and the Rays are starting Shane Baz. I'm going to go the Rays here. I got to fade Cal Quantrill every single time until he teaches me otherwise. So I'm going to go Tampa Bay minus 155 on the money line. Fade Cal Quantrill day. St. Louis Cardinals and Kansas City Royals, 2:10 p.m. Eastern at Kauffman Stadium. The Royals are starting Mike Wacha, right-handed pitcher. Cards are throwing out Matthew Liberatore, and left-handed. I'm going to go with KC here, I think. Nolan Arenado lights up Mike Wacha, which is problematic. So does Nolan Gorman. So, I mean, matchup history, not great. But also on the other side, limited matchup history, and it is Matthew Liberatore. I would be inclined to lean Kansas City here at minus 112. I probably will just lay off this game when it comes to parlays and stuff, but if we're giving leans, I would lean Kansas City minus 112. I wouldn't be surprised if St. Louis won, though. Minnesota Twins and Milwaukee. Minnesota's got to lose at some point. Today, they are going up against Freddie Peralta for the Brewers. This would be a good opportunity for them to lose. They're starting, looks like a bullpen game for them, Zebby Matthews. Interesting. I got to take the Brewers here. I got to go Brewers. I think the Twins win streak ends today. Brewers on the money line, minus 155. Freddie Peralta on the mound. They got to get the job done. They got blanked yesterday. They didn't put up any runs. They got to get it done today. The White Sox and the Cubs at Wrigley, 2:20 p.m. Eastern. This is going to be the Cubs. We got Colin Ray on the mound against Jonathan Cannon. Not a lot of batter versus pitcher history, but it's the Cubs against the White Sox. Money line here is absolutely nuked. It's minus 305. I probably wouldn't touch the run line. This is one of those, once you get into the minus 300 territory, it gets a little sketchy when you're laying run lines and money lines here. Cubs obviously win this game, or I would hope would win this game, but the run line here leaves a lot to be desired. It is minus 130, so it seems like a bit of a trap, but for whatever reason, I think Chicago White Sox in this game keep this relatively close with the Cubs. Cubs money line, though, obvious lean, but I'm probably going to lay off that. That looks like a trap to me. Oakland Athletics and San Francisco Giants, Oracle Park, 4:05 p.m. Eastern Time. We have Verlander on the mound for the Giants at home and Jeffrey Springs on the mound for the Athletics. I like the Athletics here. I think they're going to light up Verlander. I think we have a lot of pretty decent left versus right matchups. I think Soderstrom's going to give him a hard time. I think Lawrence Butler will give him a hard time. I think J.J. Bleday will give him a hard time. And then obviously we have Jake Wilson, we have Brent Rooker, we have Shea Langoliers, we have all sorts of threats in this lineup. San Francisco's a good team. They kept it close yesterday. Again, 1-0 game, won into extra innings. I think Oakland squeaks this one out today. They're plus 124 on the money line, so nice little underdog opportunity here. You can also play them at plus 1.5 on the run line for minus 166. I think is a parlay piece that's probably super safe, but I'm going to go Oakland on the money line here, plus 124. Give me them to light up Verlander. And Jeffrey Springs to do a decent job. I think he's going to have some struggles against this San Fran lineup, but I think Oakland gets this done. Colorado Rockies and Arizona Diamondbacks, 4:10 p.m. Chase Field. We have Merrill Kelly going to the mound for the D-backs, and we have Chase Dollander for the Rockies. Lovely opportunity for the D-backs here. They're minus 355, outrageous on the money line. They should get this done. They should smack Dollander, especially after losing yesterday. I know I said minus 300s are usually a trap, but this one I feel pretty good about. The Rockies stole that game yesterday from the D-backs. I think the D-backs come back pissed today at home to kind of close this series out here. So we have all sorts of guys on hit streaks for the D-backs. Corbin Carroll, 1-game RBI streak, 5-game run streak, 3-game stolen base streak. Marte's on a 1-game hit streak, 1-game total base streak, 1-game RBI streak, 3-game run streak. Lourdes Gurriel's on a 1-game hit streak, 1-game total base streak, 1-game RBI streak, 1-game run streak. Josh Naylor is on a 9-game hit streak, 5-game total base streak, 1-game RBI streak. Eugenio Saras is on a 4-game hit streak, 1-game home run streak, 1-game total base streak, 4-game RBI streak, and 1-game run streak. Pavin Smith is on a 2-game hit streak, 2-game total base streak, 1-game RBI streak, 2-game run streak. Geraldo Perdomo is on a 5-game hit streak, 5-game total base streak, 2-game run streak. And Alec Thomas is on a 1-game hit streak, 1-game home run streak, 1-game total base streak, 1-game RBI streak, and 1-game run streak. So this lineup, top to bottom, except for Jose Herrera, who bats 9th on the lineup, they're all on very, very significant hit streaks. I think they blow them out today, to be honest. I kind of like the run line here. Minus 1.5 is minus 170, which is outrageous, but I think they blow out the Rockies here. Even like a first 5 minus 1.5, I think is realistic. I was going to say optimistic, but I think that's realistic. Next game is going to be the LA Angels and LA Dodgers, 4:10 p.m. at Dodger Stadium. We have Tony Gonsolin and Yusei Kikuchi. I got to go Dodgers here. Yusei Kikuchi does not have good history against any of these Dodger batters, really, except, ironically enough, like Freddie Freeman. But everybody else hits really, really well off of Yusei Kikuchi. On the other side, Tony Gonsolin hasn't seen a lot of significant history here, but he holds down Travis d'Arnaud, he holds down Moncada, he holds down Taylor Ward. So I think they'll struggle here. Dodgers lost yesterday at home. They're not going to be happy about that. They're going to come back and get a win here. Dodgers on the money line is minus 250. I don't like that. Dodgers run line, minus 1.5 is minus 125. I like that significantly more. So Dodgers run line for this one. Seattle Mariners and San Diego Padres. We are going to have Brian Wu for the Mariners and Mike King for the Padres. This, I think, will be a low-scoring affair. We're going to go under 7.5 for this one at minus 115, I think. I think both of these guys are going to hold down the opposing lineups. Yesterday's game was 4-1 Mariners, if I remember correctly, so would have cashed this under 7.5. I think today stays under 7.5 as well for an early afternoon game in San Diego. And last but certainly not least, we have the Mets and the Yankees. I like this one. Okay, we got David Peterson and Max Fried. Yankees won this. Minus 175 at home, Yankee Stadium. Max Fried on the mound. ERA of 1.11, sub-1 whip at 0.94. David Peterson's a good pitcher. This is going to be a close competitive game, I think. All of these games have been pretty exciting to watch. I'm going to take the Yankees here at home to close it out. Minus 175. So we'll circle back for those of you that are used to having the JuiceBox Lock at the end of the pod. We will insert it again here. So again, for those of you listening that are, again, used to skipping ahead to the end, our JuiceBox pod for today, JuiceBox Lock for today's pod is going to be the Detroit Tigers on the money line. So the Tigers are up in Toronto, closing out this series at Rogers Center. Tigers have Jackson Jobe on the mound going up against Jose Barrios. Jose Barrios does not have good history, mind you, minimal matchup history, but does not have a lot of good history against these Tiger pitchers. Jackson Jobe's obviously seeing these Blue Jays bats for the first time. I think the Tigers take care of business here. They lost a close one on the road yesterday. They do not often lose 2 games in a row. They have the best record in the MLB. They have really good bats. They've been putting up a lot of runs. They were held to only 1 run yesterday. Typically when that happens and they're held to a low-scoring affair, their bats blow up the following game. I'm taking the Tigers here on the money line at even money, plus 100. Absolutely love this line today for our JuiceBox Lock, and it's going to make it really hard for me to find a max play of the day for today because I really love this line, but I'll squeeze something else out for that. So for those of you that are not yet in our premium tier, as mentioned at the beginning, whop.com/LockCity. That's WHOP.com/LockCity. Only $5 a month or 16 cents a day. You are getting all sorts of content in there. You're getting cheat sheets, you're getting projections, you're getting picks from all our cappers. Everybody's been on fire in there, like we mentioned at the beginning of the pod. Bobby's been on fire, Lenny's been on fire, my channel's been on fire. Everybody in the premium tier server there has been absolutely lighting it up. Our cheat sheets have been sweeping. Two of the WNBA ones swept yesterday. Our UFC call the card swept yesterday. Day before, I think all of our NRFIs swept. So every single day, there's at least a couple of sweeps going on. KBO's been on fire, obviously. So if you're not in our premium tier, maybe wake up and look to sign up at wap.com/LockCity. Like I said, only $5 a month or 16 cents a day. So we'll catch y'all tomorrow for tomorrow's MLB pod here, and later today probably for a CS2 pod for those of you that follow along with our esports side of things. IEM Dallas starts tomorrow, going to be a huge tournament, so I'll hop back in the booth here in a little bit once I get some picks out and cover some IEM Dallas for tomorrow. Hope everyone has a great Sunday, and see y'all in a little bit. Peace.